शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः।
We'll chant the Shanti Patha, Bhadran Karne, belonging to this Mandukya Upanishad. Line by line, it will be, lead will be given, you repeat thrice.
ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः। भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः। भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः। भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः। स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः। स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः। स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः। व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः। स्वस्ति स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः
स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः
स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः
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 स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः
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 स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु
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 ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Together.
ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षवीर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुष्ठुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Upanishad, this word by itself contains its subject matter and the result that you gain from it. It consists of 3 words, prefixes and verbs. Upa, ni, sad. Upa, ni, sad. That sa, because of preceding i, becomes shad. Shad. Otherwise, it actually upa, ni, sad. What is upa? Upa is something that is near, proximate. Now tell me, what is most near to you? What is most proximate to you? If you say I, think twice. What do you mean? I is near to me means what? I is different from you. But yet we have to say I only. Yet we have to say I only. I because nearer than there is nothing. Is it not? That I. Then of this I, we have to do ni. Ni stands for nishchaya, ascertainment. What exactly is this I? Fine. Then what for? You know the other word for what? I. Do you know I or not? Come on, tell me. What is this you are talking about? Nishchaya, ascertainment, etc. You may have no other word. We have what many other words. So what are they? Nishchaya. No. This nishchaya, do you know what result it gives? Sad. Visharana, sadi, sad, that is gati, avasadhana. It accomplishes 3 things. Visharana, it destroys avidya bija. the very seed of ignorance, which is ignorance about our true nature, which is the root cause of entire Sukha Dukkhatmaka samsara. Gati, it makes you reach, it makes you gain what? Brahma, that Brahma Gati. You gain Brahma, you discover yourself to be Brahma. And do you know who is Brahma? Not Brahma. Brahma, the very basis of entire creation, very adhisthana of entire creation. It makes you discover, it reveals to you, you are the one with the very basis of this. Think of it. You are the one, you are the very basis of entire. Will you believe it? That's why me. That's why you have to ascertain it. Then, avasadhana, Vishranagati, avasadhana. Avasadhana generally means loosening, shitilikarana. That meaning can be taken provided Upanishad also means upasana. But here we are not talking of Upanishad and upasana, we are talking in terms of Brahma Jnana. So here is that destroys samsara. What is samsara? Our concept samsara means what? Getting married, having wife, children, and all possession, property, and samsara. Is it not? Sorrowful existence is samsara. If you go still further, question is, do you know your true nature? If you know it, you are a samsari. A samsari means what? Na samsari. You are not samsari. Suppose you don't know your true nature, you are samsari, you may be a sannyasi. Okay. You may be a sannyasi. If you don't know your swarupa, you are samsara. And you may be a grahastha. If you know your swarupa, you are what? A samsara. So samsara or asamsara, who makes the difference? Ignorance of one's true nature. That makes the difference. So the question is, Swamiji, what are you talking? Do you think we are idiots? We don't know ourselves. We know entire biodata of everyone. What are you talking of? I am discovering I. Before that, now please tell me what you would like to accomplish in life. I don't want your individual ambitions. What is the underlying thing in whatever you aspire to get? You want to have happiness or not? Sukha. Anything else? No? Freedom from sorrow. Dukkha nivritti. For which, what do? We entertain thousands of desires. Some fulfilled, not fulfilled, etc. And at the fag end of the life, you strike the balance. What is it? Happy? Sorrowful? Contented? Still wanting? Still wanting or not? How did you begin your life? The innocent baby crying. What is my crying? Mother knows the language. Give me milk. You may not be able to spell it out. So you are wanting from the very childhood, and after you grow, don't ask at all. You don't imagine how many things you are wanting. Finally, at the end, what? Still, where are you? Wanting. Any progress? See, I used to give this example. In the porch, brand new or the most modern car was parked there. And the child, 1.5 years old, has seen daddy driving the car. And what it did, the car was open because it was being washed. He got in, sat at where? Near the steering, and started turning the steering. And with the mouth, and he's imagining, what? 180 kilometers per hour he is driving. Poor fellow, 1.5 hours sweating and toiling, perspiring. How much the car moved? How much the car moved? What is the progress? Like that, we started our life with wanting. We accomplished thousands of things. Let us say you are a so-called successful person from the norms of the society, from the norms of the world. At the end, still wanting. Is it progress? You may say, so what? That is what we have to do. There is no other way at all. Wait. Shruti comes and tells you, you are wrong, sir. That is not so. You want to accomplish happiness. You want to accomplish happiness to the total exclusion of even trace of sorrow. Can you ever tolerate little sorrow? Why not? See, look, if you eat the same dish, doesn't get disgusted? Some chutney or some pickle, something like that. We want to be happy along with that little sorrow, like a side dish. No, I can't take it all, etc. So, how long you are going to struggle? He says, do you know why you are struggling without contentment, etc.? What you really want to see, you have not yet accomplished. And you will not accomplish, provided you follow this method. What method? You know, our Vedanta, there is a phrase for that. Sadhana sadhya. Do and accomplish. If you follow the method of do and accomplish, you are not going to this thing at all. Be content. That's why, because whatever that I used to refer to, itself is what? Nothing but limitless happiness, no trace of sorrow, no birth, no death, because birth, death means what? Nothing but sorrow. No birth, no death. So therefore that needs to be discovered. That I needs to be discovered. That is why in life, the highest goal in life can be only what? Discovering I. What is life? I think not now. About 2-3 decades back, they say, how is life? Now that they have gone, hi. What is hi? I was not knowing. Somebody said, hi means how are you? I didn't know that. I don't know how many of our Indians know that hi. You know, generally, hi means what? Something. Something, hi. Our other version, ayo, hi. So I was thinking, what is it? Hi. No. How are you? How are you? See, I'm facing this, just next door child. Hi. Whenever it goes, if my door is open, it will come there, hi. So I also respond to it, happy, the child is happy as. How are you? Few decades back, the style was, how is life? I hope you remember. See, that after this, please ask them, just for change, what is life? What is life? Come on, I'm asking you now. What is life? We have seen many times. Santata Anubhava Dhara. Continuous series of experiences. Is it not? Happy experiences, what type of life? Happy life. Sorrowful experiences, sorrowful life. No experiences? Have you thought of it? No? Come on, think. No life. No experiences what? No life. You know, no experiences, what does it mean? Yamaraja has Yamaraja has signed on the file of that particular body. Other Dharmas are there. That particular file is what? Closed. So now that is there. The question is like this. Life is a continuous series of experiences. Who is the entity who experiences? I. Okay. Now tell me something about this I. Do you experience this I as I am? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you know this? I am? Yes. Are you aware that I am?
Yes.
Yes. What are you are making use of? Is it not self-evident? You are listening to me, you are making use of what? Ears, mind, etc. But to experience I am, to know I am, to be aware of I am, what do you make use of? Spontaneously, without any effort. That we call as what? Swayam Jyoti, self-evident. So therefore, I am is directly experienced. It is Anubhava Swarupa, self-experiencing principle. I am directly known. It is Nyapti Swarupa. It is self-knowing principle. I am directly aware of. It is Chit Swarupa, and it is self-evident. It is Swayam Jyoti. Yes or no?
Yes.
But Upanishad say, do you know what it is? Now come on, tell me, what is you are experiencing yourself. You know yourself. You are aware of yourself. And it is how spontaneously, self-evidently known. What is your observation about yourself? Are you all the time happy? Are you all the time sorrowful? Are you a mixture of this? Are you free from birth and death? Or you don't have free, you have free of birth and death? What is your concept? What? I'm happy, but the time I can say I'm happy, whatever. Sorrow, like Puja Swami says, life is nothing but Sukha, Dukkha, Sukha, Dukkha, 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 Sukha, Dukkha, 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 Dukkha. By the time you can say, oh, all is well with me. Wow. Jata tha, sprain in the leg. Ayo. This is a mixture of both. Not all the time sorrow. Not all the time. Nothing much is required. You know. The cyclic hunger and thirst only required for you to put out of it. See, have you ever imagined if Bhagwan has not kept this hunger and thirst? No, no problem, okay? But at least 60% of problem would have gone. Not 60% would have gone. But it is there. But other problems are there. So that means the case. So therefore, I am a mixture of what you are, Sukha, Dukkha, etc., Mana, Apamana, success, failure, all those things, which we describe as what? I am a samsari. You know that? Samsari means limited existence. Existence of joy, sorrows, confusion, tensions and hopes. That is what failures and all those things. Samsari. This is our direct experience. Will you agree or not?
Yes.
Upanishad comes and tells you, do you know what? You are nothing but Paramananda Swarupa. You are nothing but limitless happiness Swarupa. You are totally free from, that is, sorrow. totally free from sorrow. No trace of sorrow at all in you. In fact, that is your true nature. You can verify. Do you know why? In sleep, have you got sorrow? In sleep, have you got happiness? At that time, you will not be able to tell, but after waking up, I slept happily, I did not know anything, I had no sorrow at all. Even suppose you had a big wound, so much of pain, and had you slept what? No pain at all. It's not there. So that, now see, that happiness, from where did you get? Did you get because of eating a delicious dish? Or listening to a melodious music? Or a fragrant smell? No. Because sense organs are not functioning, sense objects are yet in there. It shows that you are true nature, but let us not bother now. It is the job of who? Upanishads to make us discover. Now you tell me, so therefore, I am experiencing myself to be Sukha Dukkhatmaka Samsara. Shastra comes and tells me, Upanishad comes and tells me that you are Paramananda Swarupa, you are free from sorrow, you are free from the birth and death, you are ever existential principle. Contradiction or not? Who will be right? Huh? Shastra. You say my direct experience. You can claim my direct experience. How can Shastra? Shastra has got better vision than our limited vision. So therefore, what we should do now? Inquiry. If I have to know myself in true nature, how that knowledge must be? You know, any knowledge, how it is gained? Yatha bhuta vastu vishayam. Brahma Sutra Bhashya Shankaracharya says. Knowledge is true to the nature of the entity to be known. Knowledge is true to the nature of entity to be. If I have to know myself, I have to know true to what I am in reality. What I experience, what I know about myself now is not true to my nature. That vision needs to be set right. That vision needs to be set right. So that is why. So here we have to delve a little deeper into the types of knowledge. We are supposed to get what? Knowledge of what? I. But how many types of knowledge, how many modes of gaining knowledge are there, we have to find out. There are six ways, 6 modes of gaining the knowledge. Begin with what? Direct perception. What you call as pratyaksha. What are you doing now? You are listening to it. With the help of what? Ear. This is the pratyaksha in terms of hearing. You are looking here, seeing. You have got a touch of your chair or the carpet you are sitting on. Touch with it. Smell, taste. Through these jnanendriyas, through these sense organs, we contact the sense object vishayas and gain the knowledge. That is what is called as what? Perceptual knowledge. What actually happens? When our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, touch, called jnanendriyas or sense organs, come in contact with the sense object in terms of shabda, sound, sparsha, touch, rupa, form, rasa, taste, gandha, smell, what happens is, because of this contact, of Jnanendriya, sense organs, with the sense object, Vishayas, in our Antakarana, in our mind, corresponding vrittis, or what you call thoughts, are born. I am talking now, sound that emerges, relevant vritti thought is born in your what? Mind. You are aware of it. And they say, oh, it means like this is what is, then your buddhi operates. This is what is necessary, antakarana, vritti is necessary. In pratyaksha, direct perception, the entity to be perceived is directly available for the Jnanendriya sense organs to be in contact with. I am talking, and you are within my audible distance, is it not? And this Swami has got a habit to shout. What happens? Then it bangs on your ear, is it not? You are seeing, so we are within the radius where we can see each other. Suppose 10 kilometers or something that you can't see at all. So means is that the pratyaksha, the directly available, means in pratyaksha jnana, in the direct perceptual knowledge, the entity to be perceived is what? Available. We call it as bhutavastu. Bhutavastu means existent entity. Is an existent entity. Fine? Now suppose you went out, class is over, you went out, and yonder, above an 11-story building, you saw smoke. What is your perception? Are you seeing? No. Fire is not seen. What is seen? Smoke. And what do? You infer. Hanumana. Pratyaksha, Hanumana. You infer. There is fire. How did you do that? Based on your earlier observation. What is the observation? Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. Be careful. You can't say, wherever there is fire, there is smoke. You can't say. Wherever there is smoke, how? Like brick kiln or olden days kitchen, not nowadays kitchen. Olden days kitchen. Olden days bakery. What? Fire, the smoke is there, you can say. So it's called what? You have got a rule now. What is called as invariable concomitance. In our Sanskriti called Sahacharya Niyama. A rule of Sahacharya, being together. What is that? Wherever there is smoke, invariably what should be there? Fire must be there. You have got this rule, you have got an example of kitchen, etc., and you are inference that, oh, beyond that building there is fire. But you are not able to see it directly. It is not perception. But your inference is right or wrong? Right. Right. It is a valid means of knowledge. Perception is a valid means of knowledge, and Anumana is valid means of knowledge. Now comes what is called suppose you have seen a horse, but you have not seen a pony. Someone tells you, what is it? Pony is somewhat like a horse. And suppose where you are going, you came across an animal, and you could make out it is not a horse, but it is somewhat similar to horse. What do you conclude? Pony. This is the upama, not edible upama. Upama means based on similarities. You are right. Because based on similarities, you can see. Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upama. Now comes presumption. See, you have returned from a long tour, hectic tour. You are very much tired and you slept. You had sound asleep. Morning 7 a.m. you woke up and you are just looking outside. Which is the month now? March. And you see, everywhere it is wet. Not small place, everywhere. What do you presume? It had rained when? When I was asleep. You have not seen the rain. You have not seen the rain. This is what is called a presumption. How? Without rain it can't be wet. So much of area cannot be. Presumption. Fine. But have you seen raining? No. But in pratyaksha, direct perception, you are directly perceiving the object. Here, your knowledge is correct, but it is not a direct knowledge. It is an indirect, valid knowledge. Okay? Then comes what is called a Shabda or Agama. Shabda means word or Vedas. Agama means Vedas. Vedas speak of things which are what is called apaurushaya. Apaurushaya means which are not directly accessible to the human intellect, which you can't perceive, you can't infer. Such things are the subject matter of it. Vedas have got two types of subject matters. What are those? Things like heavens and means to gain the heavens. Second subject is I, what you call as Atma, Brahma, Paramatma, Ishvara, Tattva, that I, about that is that they talk. And the means of gaining these two. Suppose you want to go to heaven. Anybody? You will ask, where the ticket is available? Which currency I have to pay? Currency is required. Wait. No currency available on the globe. You know what is currency required? Punya currency. Currency of what? Punya. Where to earn that? Vedas tell you. Vedas tell you. All rituals, etc., sacrifice, etc., you can earn them. They tell you. You have to have this. Then only you get the heaven. Now come on. The knowledge of the means of yajna yagas, sacrifices, to gain the heaven after the death. You come to know from where? Vedas. And you have known the method. Are you able to experience heaven? Why? First, you have to do those karmas, sacrifice, the yajna yaga, earn the punya. Afterwards, after death, you will be eligible. And then you will be able to experience. But at the time when you got the knowledge from Vedas, you cannot, you know why? It is not bhuta vastu. At that time, it is not an existent entity. Now, same Vedas in Upanishads, unfold, make you discover what is called, you are seen so far as what? I. Available for experience or not? No? Now, are you explaining? Look, you only told me. I have not told you, you only told me. What is that? I is self-experiencing principle. I am directly experienced by you. You told me. Then you told me, I am Nyatya Swarupa, self-knowing principle. You told me, I am Chit Swarupa, self-awareness principle. You told me, spontaneously, I is known. It is what? Self-evident principle, Swayam Jyoti. You only told me. So therefore, I know. But Vedas tell you, not what you know as what you know now, which is wrong. It tells you what? Right way. It pertains to whom? I. Anything related to I, or anything the nature of I, is it any time outside the purview of your experience? If yes, what does it mean? I am. At times I experience I am. At times I don't experience I am. Is it? No. Sleep it happens. Sleep happens. After getting up, what do you say? I was asleep. What that I was past tense tells you? In sleep also, I am. Only problem is, you are not able to express during the sleep that I am. Why? The expressing means are not available to you. What are the expressing means? Mind, organ of speech are not available to, but I am there also. Otherwise what will happen? I was will not be your remembrance. You won't remember that I was. So that shows that I am all the time. I am not known is not there at all. So that is the. So I am not experienced is not there at all. So therefore what? When it says, so I, which was mistaken as samsari, and Shastra has revealed free from samsara, available for what? It's because it is verily there. It is called as Bhuta Vastu, an existent entity. So therefore, in Pratyaksha, Bhuta Vastu, entity to be known is present. In I, Shabda, if it refers to I, Upanishad, entity to be known, I is what? Available for experience. In the rest of things, it is not available for direct knowledge, direct experience, it is not possible. This is the fifth variety. Sixth variety is what is called as knowledge of the absence of a thing. Look, apple on my palm. See, big apple, Kashmiri apple. You would like to believe because Swami is telling them. But your eyes, what they say? There is no. So therefore, there is no apple on the palm. Is the knowledge of the absence of the object. So that is what is called as Anupa Labdhi. So Anupa Labdhi is the absence of this. That being the case. So in all, these are the 6 modes of gaining knowledge. With only 2 cases, the existent entity is available for experience and therefore we can know it. Otherwise, it is not. For example, a born blind boy can't see. At the age of 3, let us say, he was subjected to some surgery and vision was restored. You hold a rose in front of this boy. Is he experiencing the rose? Something is there, yes or no? But the boy doesn't know what. It is a rose, it is a flower, he doesn't know. But experience is there or not, something is there. Earlier, blind, now he is able to. What should be done? A knowledgeable person, look, this is what you are seeing is what? Rose. Now you got the knowledge of what? Rose. Afterwards you show him a rose, oh, what is this? Rose. But at that time experience is there or not? Without that you can't say this is rose. Without seeing visually you can't say it is rose. Now that is another example. Suppose a person doesn't know what sugar is. How will you make him know sugar? Come on, stretch your tongue and keep a pinch of sugar. Taste it. Doesn't experience. Suppose he doesn't know it is sugar, what you have to do? This is what you are tasting now is what? Sugar. Sugar jnani ho gaya. If you get jnani of what? Sugar. But without that experience of sweetness, will you say this is sugar, will it work? So therefore, in pratyaksha, entity to be perceived is available for experiencing. In gaining the knowledge of I, entity I also is available for what? Experience. But there may be you experience and don't know that is your true nature. Because in life, how many types of experience we undergo? Millions and trillions. Out of that, this may be another experience. Maybe very profound experience, very desirable experience. But it may be 1,000. No. This means not any this, okay? After the Shastra specifies and you abide by the specification, this is what your true nature, Atma, Brahma, being I, it should be what? Available for experience. So that is not time yet to come. Here is a text, what is called Mandukya Upanishad. It analyzes our three states of experiences. What are those? Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti. From this, you know what it does? It does a great cleansing job. What cleansing? From this, what you are not is discussed. And finally points out, this is what you are. That is what Atma Jnana. Easy, no? Very easy. The cleansing needs a lot of work. Preparations, etc., etc. It needs it. But that is, so therefore, today, if I experience myself as samsari, what I am not has got mixed with what I am in reality. All Shastra tells us, drop. Drop what? What you are not. What remains? What you are. You will discover directly what. That's why this is what is called as what? Liberation, moksha, freedom from sorrows, claiming limitless happiness. Limitless happiness. For which Upanishads serve as what we technically call as pramana. Pramana is valid means of knowledge. Look, we have seen pratyaksha, direct person, that is the pramana. Then anumana, inference, pramana. Then upama, based on similarities, pramana. Then arthapatti, presumption, pramana. You know, in presumption, a famous example is given. It's Vedanta. Pino Devadatta. You know Devadatta? Nowadays, no names are Chintu, Pintu, Kintu. Olden days, Devadatta, Vishnu Datta, all like this. Mr. Devadatta. Then, Pinaha. Fact. What is the context? See, in Chaturmasa, 4 months, you are a very devout person, religious person. Every day you go to Ramji's temple. And there, one fat gentleman was sitting. His name is what? Devadatta. And you know what he comes? 6 a.m. he comes there. 6 up to 8 p.m. And you are meticulously observed, he doesn't eat anything. 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. he doesn't eat. You are very meticulously, not only you have kept some spice also and powder. Pani bhi nahi pita hai. Water also he doesn't. But for 4 months, what will you presume? He must be eating where? Night. You are right. Why? Without eating, he can't maintain the weight. Is it not? So that's what is Piro Devadatta. Otherwise, raise etc. So there, you have Devadatta eating is not pratyaksha to you. You are not one his home. You have to presume like that. So therefore, here it is there. Now it is one thing. All these pramanas are said to be what is called self-proven. We call it Swatah Pramana. Don't think only Veda, only Upanishad, only the Swatah Pramana. All Pramana, if you have a doubt, refer to Vedanta Paribhasha. You will not get it in the index. I will tell you where to find it out. After Anupalabdhi, he has given this. All Pramanas are what? Is what? Swatah Pramana, self-proven, self-authenticated in the sense, a knowledge by a given Pramana need not be corroborated by something else. You saw with the eyes. Is it true or not? You try to corroborate some, no, not necessary. By these 6 pramanas, whatever you have known is valid. You don't need corroboration as such. So that's why all these are what? Now here what happens is, every pramana needs some samagris. Samagris means prerequisites. Suppose you are able to see with the eyes. What is the prerequisite? Sufficient light must be there. Object must be within the range of your sight, is it not? And what else? Mind must be before you, behind your eyes. If some eyes must be healthy condition, no cataract or things. If these samagris are not there, even if eyes are there, you are able to gain the perception knowledge. So like that. There also is the Shabda Pramana, Veda Pramana, Vedanta Pramana, which Pramana, certain samagris, certain disposition, certain preparation of mind is necessary to gain the knowledge. If that is not there, it is just like you are having the eyes with cataract, etc. You are not able to see what it is all about. It is necessary. That is the case. This state wherein you discover yourself to be totally free from sorrow, totally free from Janma, Marana, birth and death, nothing but Paramananda Swarupa, That is what is called as the state of liberation, moksha, freedom from samsara, freedom from sorrows, birth and death. What exactly is the definition of moksha? We'll see it next time, and then we will take to Shanti Pata, Bhadram Karne, Vishunam, etc. Then we will take to the introductory bhashya before the Mandukya starts. So you will, in thoroughness, we are going to study it. Maybe a little more Sanskrit language will be involved. As I told you, I am teaching with bhashya and karikas. You did not get flabbergasted. If you closely scrutinize, you will find that no single Sanskrit word is just used just like that without giving the English. Even if you concentrate on the English aspect, your knowledge that what you are able to learn is going to be complete. Don't get. And this is not a small text. Actually, Mandukya Upanishad only 12 mantras are there. So ekdam very small one. But Bhashya, Karikas, 4 chapters. Bhasha on Karikas. You see, enough time is there. No hurry. By that time, you will get accustomed with what? Sanskrit also. I am not joking. I am telling you from my observation, my experience. Look, I am teaching for last almost 4 decades. I started with, and Bombay audience only, okay? Not that go on roaming around the world, etc. One text, 3 years you roam, and afterwards another text, another 5 years you roam. Not that way. I am teaching to the same audience, almost little less maybe, 4 decades. I started with this Upanishad, etc. without Bhashya. Okay? Then with Bhashya, Upanishad, then hold your breath. I have taught them entire Brahma Sutra Bhashya in Sanskrit, and they have clearly understood it. How? In the course of years, got developed. The only thing is that you get rid of your fright, okay? Get rid of your fright of Sanskrit language. I am explaining in the English. This other thing I am telling you. Look, if you have not understood something, proceed ahead. Oh, I have not understood. Don't worry. It will come back. In a different way, in a different context going to come, just go ahead and look at. Actually, do you know how much Vedanta can take time to give you liberation? Not more than 2-3 minutes. Swamiji, why don't you do that? What can I do for that? You are not ready. You are not ready. You are not ready. Otherwise, one tattvamasi, aham brahmasmi, what? Look, this is a secondary thing. So we have got a glaring example of, as a, what is the test case? It's a case study. You know who? Ramana Maharshi. Ramana Maharshi was a jnani, but until many years he didn't know there is Brahma, which is my Swarupa, which is the Adhisthana, this entire Jagat. And until he stumbled upon what is called as Rubu Gita in Tamil. He jumped. They are describing my experience. And that Sheshadri Swami, etc., told this is what it is. He ratified it. That is what it is. Yes, so that no need to be worried, etc. Just have patience. You are bound to become, I am telling you. The persons who don't know Sanskrit in course of time can study Brahma Sutra Bhashya. It is not difficult for you, etc. With an open mind, just that, and there is nothing to be believed, Everything is what you have to discover. Shastra helps you to inquire and discover for yourself. So next time, to begin with, we will take the definition of moksha, then liberation, and then we will take to the Shanti Pata, Bhadran Karnevi, why it is necessary, etc. Then we'll start the Prastava Bhashan. Two beautiful shlokas are there as Mangalacharana. Even if you gave the insight on that, lot of things can be achieved this time.
स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं शोकरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ